In a world filled with mushroom zombies, raiders, and resistance fighters, what makes a dad?
I'm a dad, baby.
Yeah, I'm a dad. You're a dad. We're all dads. But what does that mean? We're better off dad, obviously. What does it mean to be a dad? What does it mean? What makes a dad, and what would you be willing to, once you've taken on role of dad, what are you willing to do? So we did finish watching The Last of Us, sort of like the last of The Last of Us, season 1. Spoilers abound in this episode, so if go watch it. We'll wait for you. Just go hit pause, go watch whatever episodes you need to watch to be finished, and then come back, because we're going to have a particular focus, like they really get into the in the last however many episodes, the whole relationship between Joel and Ellie, and it just reminds me of what it means to be a dad. And it's not hint, it's not just donating sperm. And it's that whole relationship, and watching those two go through their relationship, and it just continues that arc of their father-like, daughter-like relationship. And there were just a few poignant moments that we're going to touch on here over the next half hour or so that reminded Paul and I of what makes you a dad in the first place. And then especially once you've taken on the role of dad, what are you willing to do as a dad to protect yours?
And before we get into all that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss a single video.
Don't forget to look at the thumbnails. The final episode of The Last of Us of season 1 aired a couple weeks ago, and I finally got around to watching it. There may be spoilers. We're not going to do it on purpose, but there may very well be spoilers. So
Yeah.
proceed at your own risk. I had the final episode slightly spoiled for me. Not really. They didn't say exactly what happened, but somebody did post a tweet that said, as a dad, when you give me the choice of possibly save the world versus save my child, there's a lot of dads, there is no choice.
Yeah.
There's no choice between that. You save the kid, right? So that's the spoiler. Well, I guess we're not saying what he chooses, but I think we might. So this isn't a show about The Last of Us, as I said. This is about what makes a dad, and what is a dad willing to do, And obviously, it could be a dad, it could be a mom, it could be any sort of parental figure, but we're dads.
That's right. Whether accidental or on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, there is that there's a lot of hate going around right now, especially for LGBTQ youth, and the state, the capital S state, as well as small s state of Indiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, Florida, Iowa.
The states where they say y'all.
I wish. At first I thought that, and then I started realizing Utah, South Dakota, probably North Dakota, Iowa. It's like they probably started saying y'all there because they're Confederate wannabes. They're probably all regretting their role in the Civil War at this point. But anyway, so a lot of times kids' parents aren't even supportive. So it's almost a throwaway saying now, but it's totally serious. Like, well, if your parents aren't supportive, well, I'm your dad now. I'll provide what I can in terms of emotional support, because dad is that instinct. Dad is that protective instinct. You made a promise either to someone else or to yourself that you would protect this person, and they're young and vulnerable. Now, in the case of Ellie, I don't know how vulnerable she is.
Not after the cage incident.
Yeah, wow. So I mean, from the very beginning, the it was clear that this kid was not to be trifled with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But for all of her tough exterior, she still needs support, and still needs. Now it's kind of a running joke throughout the series. Like, is he her dad? No, I'm not her dad. Like every time they run into a new group of people, it's like,
Hmm.
oh, your dad. Oh, that's not my dad, right?
Yeah.
But obviously he starts to doubt himself, um,
Hmm.
and feels like he can't, like something's happening, like he's hesitating. He's not doing what he needs to do to protect her. And it's interesting because when they do finally get to where they're going in the last episode, the person's like, I don't know, obviously you're the last person I ever wanted to, like the head Firefly person's like, you're the last person I ever wanted to owe a debt to, but I mean, you got her here. And he's like, it was her that got her here. I was just along for the ride.
Basically, yes. You know, the I can't remember episode by episode, but when they were at the commune and he was having all his self-doubts and everything. At first I thought his little bout was like he was having a heart attack or something, and I'm like, "Oh, I see how this show's going to go. This is what do you call that, Chekhov's heart attack." And
Chekhov's heart.
then when he was talking to his brother, and I thought twice about it. I'm like, man, I don't know how they managed to pull it off on camera like that, but that was 100% an anxiety attack that dude
Hmm.
had,
Yep.
and that is exactly how anxiety feels.
Yep.
So it's like for a mushroom zombie apocalypse, show based on a video game. This this thing defies description. It
Mhm.
has way more way more thought put into it than it should. By it could have been a successful full video game, as most first person shooter apocalypse video games are successful. But no, this guy went. I'm putting everything I've got into this, and it
Yeah.
shows. And then the TV show does the same thing.
Well, and getting Pedro Pascal was huge. I mean, dude can
Man,
act.
imagine imagine being one of what appears to be the nicest people on the planet, because I've watched a lot of interviews with him and I've watched a lot of just candid stuff with him, thanks to TikTok. And then you turn around and you get to play the most killerest motherfucker there is on the planet and be so hard boiled. He's so good. Now
Wh-
I never watched Narcos. You said he was on Narcos,
Oh
so I don't
yeah.
know how he was there,
He
but
was a more minor character in Narcos, but he
yeah,
was still
yeah,
pretty good. Well,
yeah.
here's the thing. Like, and again, this is what being a dad is.
Hmm.
Um, he plays a dad so well, even though he's not her dad.
Yeah.
He plays it so well because that killer instinct, and they bring this up, like you can think back on a lot of the dialogue in which they talk about what he did between 2003 and 2023,
Hmm.
and like clearly he did some truly evil shit, right? But whenever they bring it up, they talk about why he did it.
Right.
It wasn't just random, like, yes, I had to kill innocent people, um, because, they were there. It was more
Hmm.
like we did it to survive,
Yeah.
right? And
It was him or me.
right. And so even that last violent scene, um, he he had no animosity toward these folks. The
No.
choice came down to, uh, we can develop a cure. We believe we can develop a cure, but in order to get the cure, huge spoiler alert,
Yeah.
in order to get the cure, the girl's got to die, right?
Hmm.
Classic, like, choice between this individual's life and saving the world. So the head of the Fireflies is like, well, we have no choice. We got to save the world.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry, this one person has to die, but it's just this one person. And they played with that in an earlier episode with the what's her name? The one that ran the resistance in Kansas City.
Yeah.
She's out there. She's like everybody's mom or so. She's like the head of the PTAs out there. Listen, kids die. Kids will die. And that just happens,
It just happens.
You can't, like, you've got to look at the bigger picture. And it's
Yeah.
like, clearly this guy, he's not letting his little brother die, right? If
Mm-hmm.
the choice is between the resistance movement and my little brother, I choose my little brother.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal was like, if Joel's like, there is no choice. You're making me choose between this girl and saving the world. I saved the girl. And he went nuts, right? So that my point there being, and we could probably point at several other examples. Like
Mm-hmm.
he became stone cold, hard ass killer
Yeah.
when it was about protecting somebody that he needed to protect, or when
Yes.
it came to surviving.
Yeah.
Don't cross a dad,
No.
right?
No.
So
No.
there's this classic like needs of the many outweighing the whatever the few stuff, which we're always looking for black. It's either this or that. It's either black or white. Or it's either left or right. We're always looking for these clear moral moral clarity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, but the death penalty comes up. So somebody's like, well, how do you feel about the death penalty? I'm against it. Like the state sanctioned murder or state sanctioned killing somebody shouldn't be a thing, right?
Right.
Well, what would you do if your child was kidnapped by some terrorists and tortured and abused? And what would you do in that case? I'd be like, I'd kill him, kill him.
I have a particular set of skills.
If they better hope that the state gets a hold of them before I do, right?
Right.
Because if I have the capability, now I'm not a terrorist. I don't even know how to shoot a gun. You pull the trigger or something. So I don't know that I'd have the capability to do it. But if I did, you give me the capability, I will kill them, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a dad, I will kill them.
And I
Oh,
will
well, so
sleep
you are for
through
the
the
death
night.
penalty. I'm like, that's not the death penalty. That's a dad, taking,
That's the
as a
dad
dad
penalty.
protecting his kid. That's a
Yeah.
dad penalty. So yeah, I'm not the state. I'm a dad,
Yeah.
right? But people want this moral clarity. And I think with Joel, like if you say, oh, well, he's a bad dude, right? I don't know. He's capable of extreme violence in service
Yeah.
to a cause. And that
Mm-hmm.
cause seems to be like his origin story clearly is his daughter being killed
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
episode 1, right? So
Right.
his origin story is that, he probably thinks all the time about he could have done more to save her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And now this is the other what makes a dad. Let's talk about your favorite scene from what looks like the giraffes escaped from the zoo in Salt Lake City and ended up in a baseball stadium.
Hey, a lot of things happen, man. A lot of things happen in 20 years.
It's true. It reminded me of the Pablo, speaking of narcos, Pablo Escobar owned like 8 hippos,
Mm-hmm.
but then, he gets killed by the authorities. And so his estate gets abandoned and the hippos are
Mm-hmm.
just like, well, I guess we live here now. And there's now like 200 hippos in
Yeah.
Colombia.
Well, there was a pretty good documentary I saw years ago about what would happen if humanity got wiped off the face of the planet. It went through kind of like a time like a time lapse speed up to
Yeah.
show like what decays, what man, animal like zoos
Yeah.
would get weird. The
Yeah.
world,
Right.
the areas around the zoos would get weird with these animals,
Mm.
So it's entirely possible for a giraffe to wander from a zoo to a baseball field.
So there's this one scene where Joel describes, who shot at him and missed, and
Hmm.
it was him. Um, and he opens up about that to Ellie, and I forget the exact dialogue, but and you can jump in at any second. You told me the story not 10 minutes ago. If you're gonna sit here and watch me flounder, you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's like, motherfucker, 10 minutes ago you said this story.
I was just seeing if you were paying attention. Uh, no, it's the scene when the two of them are sitting on like a bench after they ran into the giraffe, and he was explaining the story about how who the dumbass was that shot at him, how he missed, and then he basically said, through not innuendo, through nuance, he explains that he tried to take his own life and he couldn't because at the last minute he pulls away, and when she tells him, when what's her name, Ellie?
Mhm.
Yeah, when Ellie tells him, "Well, I'm glad that that made you find the strength to go on," and he tells her that wasn't it, and the she's looking at him, and you can, yeah, I don't know how they did it, but like you almost just saw the her pupils or something went, and you could just it dawns on her that it was her, but
Mm.
that moment that she realizes it was so that to me that's probably the best little like 3 seconds of acting I have ever seen in the past 10 years in anything. It's almost like it wasn't even an act. And the
Mm.
thing is these two um Pascal and I always blank out on her name, the actress that plays Ellie, um they apparently have perfect chemistry together because I've watched lots of interviews with them and stuff. But yeah, that was to me that that moment when he tells her that basically she's the reason he found the strength to carry on is like a metaphor for just being a parent in a way, because we I never planned on this is full stop. I never planned on being a parent, but I can't imagine not being one now,
Mm.
and how drastically different my life is now versus then.
And
Yeah,
that
maybe I got caught up in all that.
and that's what makes a dad. That's I wholeheartedly believe. Like biology doesn't do it. It's not twists of fate.
Hmm.
He didn't want to take her. Like he
Mm-mm.
hadn't. He was done. Right.
Yep.
He was done being a
She
dad.
he called her cargo. She was
Yeah.
cargo.
She was cargo. And 20 years later, after losing his kid, like he was done with all that. But the need arose, and the life put him in that circumstance, and he could have continued to treat her as cargo. He could have dropped her off at any moment. He tried to get rid of her at one point at the commune,
Hmm.
but it kept pulling back at him, and the anxiety attack moment was huge. It's like,
Yes.
I don't know if I can do this. And it's like at some point, and it's all metaphor, dude. Because I tell you what, we've all had it. We've all had, like, there's plenty of shit going on in my life that if I didn't
Hmm.
have kids, I would
Hmm.
have said, screw it. I'm done.
Hmm.
I'm not, I'm not saying I would end it all. I'm just saying I'd go off and do something else. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Because
and I
this,
would be drastically different people.
yeah, we'd be different people. Life life happened the way it happened, and here we are.
Hmm.
And one of my one of my friends, like with all the crap going on in Indiana and stuff, I was like, I just feel like I need to do something. He's like, man, you're doing it. You're
Yes.
doing what you need to be doing,
Hmm.
right? Once you get them raised, then maybe
Hmm.
we could use your services. We
Yeah.
could. Meanwhile, we'll take this part. You do your part with your
Yeah.
kids, and we will
Yep.
do our part here, and we'll let you know if we need some help. But
Hmm.
you're
Yeah. You
already
you
doing it.
you make better people.
Yeah.
And then when you're done with that, or theoretically done with that, when you're done with that, when you have time,
Yeah. Right.
we got this over here. This will still be here.
But that was the moment. Like we think about, we're here to support our kids. We'll do anything for our kids,
Hmm.
and they will be better people because we're their dads. That moment on that bench with those giraffes was the
Hmm.
moment where you go, it works both ways.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a better person because she was in his life.
Yeah.
She's what gave him purpose to carry on, and not like it's her
Hmm.
job to do that.
Yeah.
It just, that's how it turns out.
Yeah. And it was kind of cool on the subject of the show a little bit. It was kind of cool too that that incident happened while he was taking his kid to the zoo. when you think about it.
Oh yeah, I didn't
You
even
know,
think about
he
that.
was
They were
doing
just
like 100% dad thing.
yeah, that's a great point.
He took her to the zoo and to a ball game.
Oh, that's true.
It's like, what's left?
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, I might go to the zoo later. I don't know. Yeah. So the primary thesis of today is what y'all just saw. If you watched the Last of Us season 1, is you saw what it takes, like what is a dad and what is a dad willing to do for
Yeah.
their kid.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Steve, he wasn't actually her dad. I know that.
Yeah. I've
But he
always I've taken in lots of strays. My kids have always had friends that needed help, and
Mhm,
I've always taken in strays and helped them when I could. And
sure.
so that dad, you can biology only goes so far, you know.
Right. Right.
I mean, and biology has been proven time and time again not to take. So
So what is a dad? What makes a dad? I don't know, but I do know we are better off, Dad. Just trying to do the right thing when things are hard, and it shouldn't be this hard. Or at least there aren't any mushroom zombies chasing it.
yeah, yeah.